British government warmed up to Narendra Modi. The India groups of the country's two main political parties have invited the Gujarat Chief Minister to visit the United Kingdom.
The ball was set rolling by the opposition party's Labour Friends of India group when its chairman Barry Gardiner sent a letter to Modi last week inviting him to the House of Commons to speak on the future of modern India. Now, the British MP said, and his quotes are very significant, he said, the invitation is a culmination of several years of engagement between senior representatives of the Labour Party and Narendra Modi. He also said that Modi is a politician who simply cannot be ignored anymore, and that it's in Britain's best interest that the UK engage with Modi as both the Chief Minister of Gujarat, and here's a significant part, also as potential Prime Minister.
Well, this, remember, comes at a time when within India there have been appeals to the US and the UK not to grant Narendra Modi a visa. A massive controversy had erupted when some members of parliament had shot off a letter to the heads of the two countries to continue the visa cold shoulder to Modi, but that hasn't deterred these countries from now reaching out to the Gujarat Chief Minister. In fact, Labour MP from Brent North and Shadow Minister for the Natural Environment and Fisheries, Barry Gardiner, is the man who sent that invitation to Narendra Modi, and he's with us live now for more on this. Barry, thanks very much for joining us this evening here on India Reports. Just wanted to ask you, why did you feel the need, given the environment at this time where Narendra Modi, has been shunned by many countries, the invitation from your side comes at a time, when the isolation appears to be thawing. Could you tell us, for the sake of our viewers, why you decided to invite Narendra Modi at this time?
Well, very simply, Narendra Modi is not only one of the preeminent chief ministers of states in India, but now as the leader of the official opposition party in India, he occupies an extraordinarily important place in Indian politics. His influence on Indian politics is without question, and it's really important for us in Britain, in the political classes in Britain, to understand what his vision of a modern India will be.
Barry, also, the wording of the statement that you have given is very significant. You said that it's important for the UK to start engaging with Narendra Modi, not just as the Gujarat Chief Minister, but also as a potential Prime Minister. Is there a recognition in your country now that here is a man who could be a front runner, and it is only inevitable now that your country break the ice as far as relations with Mr. Modi is concerned?
Well, look, I've known Narendra by now for, I think, 13, 14 years. And so I have had no doubts ever about his capacity for politics on a much larger stage. He is an extraordinary politician. He has achieved so much in Gujarat in terms of the economic miracle that he has performed there. And also, if one looks at it simply in political terms, it's quite an extraordinary feat to have been re-elected as a sitting chief minister so many times with such extraordinary majorities. So we have a lot to learn, I think, from the style of effective political action that Narendra Modi represents. But more than that, we have very clear interests in Britain. We have more foreign direct investment going into Gujarat state than we have in the whole of the rest of India put together. Now, that means that it's just as important for British business as it is for British politicians that we work closely with him and understand the roadmap that he has for the future.
Barry, what do you think about, Narendra Modi still, perceived to be isolated as far as the United States is concerned? He still hasn't been able to travel to the United States. In 2005, a visa was denied to him, and the perception now still is that the United States doesn't want to take a decision just yet. In fact, recently, members of the Indian Parliament had written to President Obama asking him to maintain that boycott of Modi and not to give him a visa. What do you think of that?
Well, look, all I can tell you is that there was never a boycott in place from the UK, and there was no visa boycott, no visa ban on any Indian politician whatsoever. I cannot speak for the United States, and it would be improper of me to try. Those are matters that you must pursue with the appropriate politicians in that country.
Barry, final question. The one thing that has haunted Narendra Modi for the last 11 years is the post-Godhra violence in Gujarat in 2002. Do you think that it's a closed chapter now as far as the UK, as far as you and your party and your comrades who've invited him are concerned?
Let me say a number of things concerning that, because this is often brought up. I have respect for the courts of India, and as far as I'm aware, this is something the courts in India have looked at a number of times, the Supreme Court indeed, and the Supreme Court of India has found that there are no grounds to condemn Narendra Modi in any way on this. If you look 2 years ago in the UK, there were riots in London. Those riots lasted 4 days, and yet people have criticised the fact that the riots in Gujarat lasted 3 days at the very beginning of Narendra Modi's tenure as Chief Minister. It took us 4 days in London to bring the riots under control. The other thing I would say to you is the people of Gujarat clearly believe that Narendra Modi, across all sectarian divides, is the chief minister that they want. He holds well in all sectors of Gujarat, whether it is Hindu or Muslim or whatever part of the constituency you look at. But I give you one final story, and that is when I was in Hyderabad in October last year for the UN Convention on Biodiversity. I was speaking there, and after the conference was over, I was in a taxi coming back to the airport. Now, the taxi driver was talking to me as taxi drivers do, and he was a Muslim, he was a Telugu speaker, and he was talking to me about politics in his state. And of course, he made mention of one of the great chief ministers there, Naidu, Chandrababu Naidu, and he was saying how good he had been. And I simply asked the driver, when I could get a word in edgeways, I said, look, is there any chief minister in any part of India at the moment who you think in any way matches Naidu? And he said, oh yes, one, Narendra Modi. Immediately, that was the name on this Muslim Telugu speaker's taxi driver's name in Hyderabad. I think that shows that Narendra Modi's appeal is not just in Gujarat, where he has been seen to be effective. It's across the rest of India too.
Barry Gardiner, thanks very much for speaking to India Reports. This is a story that we will be taking forward. The implications of this invitation are politically sensitive as well. We're going to have to see what it really means. The international thaw has well and truly begun. Barry Gardiner, thanks very much for joining us on India Reports tonight. Moving on now.